Welcome to Author Talk. Today, my guest is children's author and entrepreneur Francesca Hepton, founder of wellnessandwriting.com. She's a champion of wellness and a catalyst for growth, focusing on the key areas of personal development and well-being for all ages. She provides courses, training, and consultation in areas of writing and personal wellness, and has numerous books to her name. So, hi, Francesca. Thanks for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me, Edward. Thank you.
So you have quite a bio, and I wanted to start sort of with discussing your children's author part of it. So
Okay.
that's kind of, I met you initially in regards to the children's books and the wellness part. So
Yeah.
we start with the children's books. So you have a few children's books out.
Yeah.
I've got Jack's Roar and Kiki and Friends series.
Yeah.
So what are you can just sort of summarize what's
Okay.
about that?
Well, I'm actually an accidental children's author. I started writing 6 years ago and started writing my fantasy novel.
Okay.
I don't read fantasy novels, so I have no idea why I decided to write one, but I was really enjoying it. So I've written two parts of it, and my cat died.
Okay.
Yeah, she'd been around a long time, and she was supposed to die about a year after I got her because she was an unwanted cat and the vets didn't have anywhere to home her.
How old was she when you got her then?
But I got her, oh no, she was a kitten, she was tiny,
Okay.
but she had feline cancer of some kind, something, some bad thing going on. And she didn't have any teeth.
Oh.
Anyway, so she's in a bit of a bad way. And she lived to a ripe old age of 14. And I didn't want to just commemorate her with a plaque on the garden bench. And the kids were, they were sort of 10 years old. So I thought I'd write a story about her. And then I thought, wouldn't it be nice? So I did a rhyming story. I always write in rhyme because I enjoyed reading to my kids in rhyme. You know, Julia Donaldson and all that, it's my favourites. And then I thought, well, I need some pictures for it. And it was so hard to get an illustrator to do, because they're all tied up, everybody's got them, they're all done. And then, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it's on the same thing.
Yeah, really hard. And then I thought, well, the kids won't mind if it's bad, just as long as it kind of looks like a cat. So I decided just to do it myself. And so I taught myself how to scan stuff in and do it on Photoshop and did some brightly coloured things. And that's kind of how that book was created. And I put it on Amazon just to try it out. That's when Amazon was first starting to do the self-published stuff. And so I could share it with the family and friends abroad as well, because all my family is scattered all over the world.
Right.
And then I started martial arts myself. It's called Kiki the Kung Fu Kitten because she was really tiny, but really, really sweet as well. So
where's the kung fu part then?
The kung fu part is that she would do, as most cats when they're fighting, they do the whole like that. And her name was Muesli because she was like the colour of muesli. So we used to call her Muesli.
Okay.
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee.
So that Bruce Lee transmogrified to Muesli, which transmogrified into Kiki the Kung Fu Kitten.
Okay.
And it was all about her and how polite she was and how kind she was and the fact that she was able to fend off big cats with her kung fu stuff, but didn't actually get into a fight. She just turned into a massive pom-pom. And after joining a martial arts centre to try and get fit at the ripe old age of 40, 5 years, still almost 7 years ago now, the instructor there, the owner of the academy, found out that I'd written this book, and he wanted one writing for his bully busting course that he taught, or he still teaches, to his ninja tops. And that's where it was Master James Hudson from the AIM Martial Arts and Leadership Academy in Harrogate, and that's where the Jack's Raw came about. And that actually delivers quite specifically 5 rules and tips on how to deal with bullying for kids, probably age 7 or under.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I did that and I illustrated that, and I felt quite comfortable. I actually really enjoyed that more than the fantasy novel.
Yeah, well, considering you don't read fantasy, I guess that's
Why would I write it? Right.
But you have a number in the Kiki and Friends series then, don't you?
Yeah, so then what I decided would be really nice is a bit like, you know how Harry Potter, children have grown up with Harry Potter? I thought, well, wouldn't it be nice, you know, because I never think small. I always think, oh, this massive franchise that will take over the world. It'll be, I can see it in the cinemas now. Kiki grows, you can grow up with Kiki. So I was going to bring out lots of other ones for the younger children, but also books for early readers, so 6 to 9 years old.
Okay.
I'd say they are probably more, the ones that I've brought out so far for sort of 6 and 7 year olds.
Right.
Boys or girls. So then I plan to bring out some more after that. But the, that range, that then developed into Kiki and Banjo, who you meet in the first. The story carries on. So there's a thread throughout the whole series.
Okay.
And they get together. It's a bit like the Famous Five, but mixed in with a bit of Buffy the Vampire Slayer kind of thing, and mixed everything through.
I'm sure I can imagine that with cats in there as well.
Swallows and Amazons meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Yeah.
And they just go on different adventures. And they have friends called Piero, who's Italian. Had to have a bit of Italian in there for my mother. And your wife is Italian, so she'll appreciate that.
Exactly.
And he's actually the best character in all of it. He's very forgiving. He's flamboyant. He's actually a great balance throughout all of the characters in the books. And then you've got Tiny and Titch, who are like some little mice, and then Winston Churchill, and then you've got Lord Byron, and that element of suave in there, and a little bit of intellectual. And he comes with all the right things to do, which kind of puts all the other characters in a sort of moral dilemma. Will they choose the right thing? Will they tell the truth? Will they not?
Oh,
and he kind of guides them through. Not like a Mr. Miyagi or anything. And then his sons are called Edgar Allan and Poe, because I kind of wanted to have a bit of the Ninja Turtles, have a bit of education going on.
Okay, so you chose some British poets.
Yeah. So they constantly are in battle with the farmies, who are the bad cats that live out on Merk Farm. And
that's on like an urban versus rural kind of thing, is it?
It is, yeah. Oh no, but they all live in a village of Sleepy Meadow where nothing ever happens unless you're looking. Unless you're looking. Yeah, it's a bit like. Sorry.
No, I was going to say the way it is with all towns, isn't it?
It is. You know, like the what's it called? Some Midsummer Murders.
Oh yeah.
It's set down somewhere down south of England in this quiet, picturesque, rural setting, and it's a bit like that. People don't tend to die though in my stories because it's for 6 and 7 year olds. Yes, it's really good fun writing. So I've written 4 so far, and that actually was just like I'd been hit by a bolt of lightning, and I just sat and wrote them all in about a week, and now I've been bringing them to, polishing them up and illustrating them and bringing them out slowly. So I've got 2. I've got another one coming out this year, and then I'll bring out 1 or 2 a year.
Excellent. So do they all sort of have similar themes, or have you just sort of gone on with whatever story sort of inspires you?
They follow, but they follow each other in a sequence, but they can be standalone.
Right.
And the main theme that goes through it, as with the younger one, the illustrated rhyming book, is the metaphor of Kiki's headband, which is every time she puts a headband on, she has like amazing martial arts superpowers. Okay. But the headband, there's no violence, because you're not allowed violence. It's not like when we were growing up, or when I was growing up.
Back in the day,
yeah. So it's a metaphor for self-confidence. But all the other characters in there, they all have their own inner victories, and they all have to question themselves whether they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing. But I don't push that message too much, because I also want kids just to enjoy the story.
Right. Yes.
But it does deal with the importance of honesty, how not being honest can get you in a bit of a bind. Right. Another one, like the circus coming to town, that deals with animal cruelty. And then the day at the races, that is all about self-belief and believing that you can win, even though you probably don't feel like you can.
Right. And
then the last one's the major, and that's all about respecting your elders and about coming out with a damn fine plan to get yourself out of a pickle, about using your thinking outside the box. So yeah, they all have little messages.
Well, that's important for the kids' books, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel so.
Yeah. So that's quite a number of books, actually. Do you feel like not only your skill as a children's author has evolved, but also your illustrative abilities then?
Definitely, definitely.
So the
Because
new ones are really good. You're really feeling confident now.
yes, but I would never illustrate somebody else's book
Right.
because I can see how a book should be illustrated. You know, when you read it and you can see how it should, and mine just wouldn't do it justice. And
You're not selling yourself here.
no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do it. I'm not. That's not my forte. That's just not.
But you've had good feedback on the books then?
I've had excellent feedback on the books. The children love them. The parents, I think, because they're quite wholesome, but they're funny. I think that's the parents are really drawn to them, so they like their children engaging in them.
Right.
The children that read them, they like I say, they're about 6, 7 years old. They've just had their nose in them, and apparently they can't stop finishing it because it is that I write page turners for kids because there's always one thing happens and the next thing happens.
Right.
And I did write the older books on the basis that I was a bit disappointed when my children were growing up that there weren't too many books out there that didn't make reference to underpants, bottoms, or farts. It was just the bookshelves were covered with that, weren't they?
Right. Yeah. Well, here anyway. I don't remember that where I grew up, but
no,
Canada's a bit more calm, I suppose, in that regard.
Yeah. But, so yeah, I've enjoyed doing the illustration anyway, but that's not, as I say, where my strength lies. But what I have found, what the real thing that grows, and you probably feel this as well, when as an author, is your entrepreneurial skills.
Right, you kind of have to, don't you, yourself?
Yeah. So it's kind of like, yeah, I write, whatever, but this is where I spend all my time.
Yeah, trying to get people to
know,
basically. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas most people who aren't writers, they're the opposite. They find the struggle is with the writing, don't they? And they're quite happy with their marketing and everything else.
Yeah. Well, maybe we should get onto your broader writing then as well, and then we'll move to the wellness side of it, because you also write you write self-help books as well, quite a number of them by the looks of it.
Yeah, that again wasn't intentional. It started off as, I think a lot of self-help books do, perhaps I'm being a bit presumptuous here. Obviously you have one end where it's the people who are highly qualified and skilled in their areas of psychiatry or just of the body or nutrition or complementary therapy. I came from the other end, which is somebody that's going through it, the shepherd, whereas I used to be a sheep. I'm just one step ahead, maybe.
Or the Sherpa, as they're sometimes called.
Yeah, I'm not that far yet. So I just thought I'd share what I'd learned. And it was only after the third book that I realized that the writing was my own journey, my own cathartic journey of what I was going through.
Okay.
Yeah, and so I tried a lot of different things to help me as I was going along. And what happened was, so it eventually evolved into 6 books where I'd kind of touched, I felt, on a lot of the areas that people need to look after in their life if they want to feel good. So there's the finances, and that's the one I started with, because if you don't have your finances sorted, it's kind of people's biggest worry, isn't it?
Yeah, especially now.
Well, especially now, yeah. And if you're worried about your finances, you can do as much meditation and yoga and whatever and running and fitness, but the worry is the biggest drain on your health.
Right.
So I felt that was a really important thing, was to get people understanding about how to be sensible with finances. That's what that is. I'm not qualified to give any other advice. It's just how I manage. I mean, I'm a single mum, and I've been not unemployed, but in my own employment. I haven't been in the rat race, let's say. I left the rat race 18 years ago.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so it's very important to understand where you're at with your money.
Right.
'Cause yeah, a lot of people don't, especially writers. And it's not. I'm not being condescending, but artists, because this is how I am. We tend not to be bothered about the exact figures or what's coming in, what's going out.
Yeah, I think maybe that's a bit of a self-defense mechanism in some cases, isn't it? Because you often don't have much coming in.
Yeah, so you kind of just do this, you kind of don't look.
Yeah.
And you just see like lumps and bumps, and you just think, well, yeah, I think I've got about enough to cover that bit, and then that bump looks about big enough to cover that bit, and you just think you're okay, but if you haven't got a firm hold of it, it can be very, very stressful.
Yeah, I've kind of gone through that type of mentality shift in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 or so years myself.
Mm-hmm.
Just sort of being aware of the importance of that whole side of the equation, shall we say.
Yeah, it's empowering.
It is, yeah. It's a completely different mindset. I guess it's almost, in some ways, like growing up a bit, isn't it? Because you're having the fun, and then you sort of like, okay, I can actually, but not only is it growing up, but it's also, like you say, freeing and empowering, because then you start to realize, okay, where you can spend your efforts and whatnot, and how you should manage your life, which seems constricting on the surface, but it actually frees you up from a lot of extraneous things that might take time and whatnot.
Yeah, and it's very revealing. If I don't mean that, woohoo, I just mean when you actually stop and look at your finances, you can be surprised sometimes where you are spending your money.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I went through that as well.
Yeah, so it's very enlightening, and it's very empowering, and I think it's an essential step in any healthcare. And I don't think enough people do it. I don't, most people are always talking about the obvious, whereas to me, that's the first thing you should do.
Yeah.
Live within your means.
You do have quite a number of other books on stopping drinking, stopping smoking. Are they all sort of, I've noticed you've kind of hit a new niche, as it were, in terms of book size. Like, I don't want to pigeonhole you necessarily, but
quick read.
Yeah, that's a fairly new thing that evolved from the self-publishing, isn't it? Because the traditional publishers would never sort of publish these short things.
I didn't follow any guide. Or any example. I simply wrote what needed to be said and didn't want to write anything extra. Because if you really want to give something up, the information's there, the steps are there, and you either follow them or you don't.
Right.
A lot of people enjoy reading as something that tells them to give up, because they feel like they're doing it, but they're just reading.
Right.
So they're doing, you see.
Yeah, well, it's kind of the thing when you're writing a book, and you first start writing a book, and you're like, you tell everyone you're writing a book, and then you never actually write the book because you've told everyone, and you feel so good about telling everyone.
Yeah, but there's the action part, isn't there? So I didn't want to waste any words on things just repeating what I'd already said. If I wrote them again, I think it's a bit like in a fictional story. You don't kill off your main character. Readers don't like that. Okay, it's kind of like an unsaid rule, really, if you want to be liked.
Well, it also helps you build further stories, but anyway.
Yeah. It does. Well, you have to resurrect them like they do on all the Marvel
superheroes and stuff.
Yeah. So I probably don't get merits for entertaining my readers in the sense of holding their hand and taking them along the journey. But what I have provided with is tried and tested methods that I've used. Right. So all I ever do, because I did used to smoke and I did used to drink, and all of that comes from my journey and the system that I use, because I thought, well, if it worked for me, then it might work for other people who are like me. But nowadays you can do all kinds of stuff for giving up smoking. Yeah. If I'd have known about hypnosis, I'd have just done that.
It doesn't work for everyone, though, does it?
Yeah. You won't smoke. Ah, great. Done.
But it's nice the quick reads, aren't they? Because if you're serious about it, you will just, you just want that one subject, that quick read, give some points. You don't want to wander through a 400-page manual on it or anything.
But even better, actually, Edwin, what's sold better are the audiobooks,
Oh, really?
because they're just like a couple of hours long.
All right.
So
Okay.
you think about it, you listen to it on the tube, or you listen to it in the car a couple of times here and there, or it's done within one day gardening. I don't know if anybody gardens these days, but you understand, it's like it's a manageable size. So
in Yorkshire, everyone gardens in Yorkshire.
True.
So that's quite interesting. So when did you start making the audiobooks then?
As soon as I finished publishing it, I thought I might as well make an audio because it's completely free. So I always did the 50-50 with ACX. So I just put my books on there, said, does anybody want to do them? If you do, it's 50-50 with royalties. And so I didn't really have to do anything. I just had to make another cover, different size cover, and then just listen to the audio and see which person I liked.
Right.
Yeah.
It was interesting. When I went looking through your books on Amazon, I saw that you can now listen to little clips from the audiobooks. I was a bit surprised. Like, I was looking at the How to Be a Happy one, and I was expecting something similar to your voice, and then there was this like deep male voice that really put me off, actually.
Oh, but he's got a great voice for it. If you didn't see me or expect me,
Sure.
Yeah. But I can see why. And a lot of people say that you should read your own books.
I've heard the opposite in general, because most authors are not very good voice actors necessarily. So I mean, I do know a few in our area that do read their own books and are quite good at it, but most of them don't have very good inflection and breath control and whatnot for readings.
Okay.
So I've heard as well. But.
Well, I enjoyed him. I loved his. It was D.E. Hardick who read that one. And he just got this fantastic voice.
And so it was quite easy to find the actors for that.
Yeah.
Did they do all the work basically in putting it together? Or they did the recording, obviously, but
they do. What happens is you just send off the audition, and then you listen to however many reply, and then you choose one, or you don't if you don't like any of them. There's no obligation. And then you send them the script, which is essentially the book. I mean, I learned after the first one to take out graphs and things like that because they read everything.
Oh, okay.
Do an audio script, send them that, and then they read it and they make it. And they have the guidelines are sent to them by ACX, who are fantastic. You can write to them, they respond. It's like KDP. They always answer within a day, and they always tell you exactly what it is that you need to do. And they just tell them what levels everything needs to be at and how long and what needs to be included in the first part and what needs to be included in the final credits and that kind of stuff.
So you found it fairly easy then?
Extremely easy, yeah.
Maybe I'll have to try that at some point.
The hardest part is the tax form you have to fill out as a US citizen.
But they've made that a lot easier lately. It used to be much more involved. You actually had to do the paperwork and everything. Now it's just an online form typically, no?
Online. All online.
Yeah, so that's quite nice. Compared to when I started looking at Kindle publishing and CreateSpace, I was like, oh my God, this W8 form and everything.
Yeah, it was CreateSpace when I started, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a little trickier.
Yeah, exactly. Now it's so streamlined. I'm just like, why wouldn't you self-publish? Just get in there.
Exactly, because the thing is, you might as well self-publish. Even if you're going to then ask, like, for example, those fantasy novels, which I have every intention of finishing, I want those to be traditionally published at some stage. But the rest of it, no, I think what I have deserves to be read. I also have my work edited for the children's stuff.
Okay.
Just because I want to make doubly sure, even though I am an editor anyway, I want to make sure and have another set of eyes on my work.
And so is that largely for content then, to make sure it sort of is at the right level for the audience, or?
No, it's just to make sure I haven't missed anything. Because you always go typo blind when you read your own stuff.
Right, okay.
And just to see, sometimes I'll put in too much text, maybe too much talking, or over-explain something. So yeah, I suppose like what you said, just to make sure it's age relevant.
Okay.
Just a safety net.
Yeah. What I really love about self-publishing is like you were just saying, right? It's the flexibility and the freedom. So
Yeah,
you can decide, okay, this set of books I want to self-publish, and then I will try to
yeah,
traditionally publish this set if I can and whatnot. If you can't traditionally publish it, then you can just fix it up till you like it and self-publish it anyway. So
exactly,
it's awesome.
exactly. The world is our oyster,
It
or
is,
the world
yeah.
is our library. And also, the other thing is that you can do what you want with it's your property. So sometimes I'll notice I want to add something. I can just go straight in and change it. If I had to go to an editor and a publisher, agent, whatever, that would just never happen.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the great things.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I couldn't imagine having to wait. Because I had to change my my web address, because at the back of my book, I've got my web address for the kids so that they can join.
Right.
Well, originally I had it printed with .com,
Oh, okay.
and somebody had taken that. So
oh no.
as a self-published author, I can go back in and change that.
Yeah.
Just change it so it's the right address instantly.
Yeah, no, that's just wonderful.
One of the benefits. And I also did this workshop where, and it's an online course now, I help writers think about other ways that they can make money from their books. And one of the ladies who attended, I just didn't think, because she's traditionally published and she's sold like 5,000 copies, still poor. She can't do anything with her book because she doesn't own the rights to it.
Yeah.
And I just thought,
isn't it? You
it's
put all that
your
effort
work.
in. Yeah, you put all that effort in, and someone else owns the rights to it.
Yeah. So she couldn't. She from after doing the workshop, she was going to write another story and then use the work that I'd given her the ideas for that. But for her previous work, she couldn't apply it.
Right. You have a number of online courses, don't you? I remember I went
Yeah.
through the book proposal course, which was quite good.
Only quite good, Edwin. Only quite good.
Quite good. Well, I can't stay fully because I just went through it quickly, and I have to go back now once I get the time.
Don't worry, there are reviews there. It's very good. It's very good. No, that's fine. Yes, thank you for mentioning that. I have just done another one for kids. So I've got 2 up for books, and I've put them on Udemy and also on my website. I figure Udemy's good because that's kind of like a ready-made platform. I don't have to advertise. They do all the advertising. You don't get a lot of money from it.
Okay.
And then I do it from my own website as well.
Do you set the prices on Udemy then?
Yeah, but they always sell it for $9.99. You can set it whatever price you like.
I've often, before I even thought about making my own courses, I would go there and say, "Oh, these courses are 200," and then you wait a week and they're like,
Yeah,
or something.
yeah. You can set your own promotion and then send that out, and then you get extra money for it because it comes from your link. There's all that there's a lot.
Like an affiliate type, self-affiliation or something.
Yeah, and admittedly, like I've got one up there, which is it's an extensive course because it has the bullying element. It's all about helping kids become more confident, and so it has 3 of my books in there, which you can get the whole book. You can get the audio downloads for the books, and you can get all the stories. It is a narrated audio as well, video, so you can see it. Right. And then it has all the lessons drawn from it and lesson plans. So it's got, the key stuff in there. It's also got my positivity journal, which is like a 6-week lesson plan for journaling and how that can help shift children's mindsets to more problem solving and I can mindsets. And it also has the 10 essential life skills that I go through. So I've set that one at just under £100. And sometimes it's sold at $19.99.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's not always $9.99.
And that's one of your courses, yeah. So you got twice as much than the usual discount. Because I was noticing when I was going through your book list on Amazon, you have Positivity Journaling Mental Health Manual, which you've targeted at schools by the looks of it. Is that?
Yeah, that's the manual for the teachers.
Right.
So
were you commissioned for that, or did you?
Yeah.
Oh, you were, okay.
Harrogate Ladies College, they commissioned the Positivity Journal. It's called a positivity journal because they wanted a journaling course. And when I said to them, journaling's a really private thing. So if you're going to get your pupils to write stuff, you know, you can't really read it.
Yeah, it defeats the purpose.
It's going to be hard to teach that. So I said to them, you should do something a bit more that is all about noticing the positive. So we came up with the idea it was the director of wellness, because they were one of the first schools in the UK to set up a wellness centre.
Okay.
So they actively encourage the children to partake in meditation, to in their PSHE lessons. It's all about gratitude, being thankful, being more mindful, as well as all the other stuff that they have to learn.
Right.
So what I did is I then packaged that up into a manual, because I did the teacher training there and I delivered the first lesson there, and then I trained the teachers and I packaged that up into a manual and I put that up on Amazon as well for other schools.
I think you're a much better business person than I am, because I did Code Club. I volunteered to teach Code Club there for like 2 years. I didn't get any money out of it though, so
yeah, well, schools
I should have put some book together or something. I don't know.
Schools aren't, you know, known for having money.
They don't like to give it away too much.
No. And usually with schools, they have to approach you if they need something. Otherwise,
right.
Because even my bullying books, you know, and it was our anti-bullying week, and I offered my services completely free just for the kids, just to add something. I only got in one school, and we've got a lot of schools.
Yeah, well, my wife developed a care program for 4, 5, and 6 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, the same kind of thing though. So about half the schools in the area were happy to have her come and take a day or something, and the other half were just sort of non-responsive.
Well, she got half. Yeah, kudos for that.
Yeah, yeah. So it did go well. I mean, I videotaped a few of them, and we're looking at creating some books so that she doesn't have to go around all the schools all the time.
That's it.
Yeah.
But also, if she wanted to approach the Harrogate Wellness director, it would be a good idea, because they also have conferences where all the other teachers come.
Okay. So
that would be a good stepping stone for that kind of material.
I'll make a note of that. Yeah. So this segues then well into your wellness and writing business that you've founded, basically.
Yeah. So I noticed. Yeah.
So how did you, like, what was the sort of stages that you went from? I mean, did you start the wellness and writing first, or did you write the books and then went into the...
I wrote the books first, and that's where I noticed that nobody was looking after the writers.
No, okay.
And because I have been working at a desk my entire life, but I'm extremely active, I felt that, again, I could share how I do it and how I manage, because I noticed a lot of people said, well, how come you keep having all these ideas? How do you get all these ideas? And how come you can just write a book? Because if I would say, I'm a bit brass sometimes, and people say, oh, just write it. Just write it. If you feel like you're going to, just write it. But anyway, I thought I'd be a little bit more gentle about it and actually impart for free, everything that I do as a writer to maintain my wellness, even though I don't necessarily do it deliberately. So I had to kind of do a bit of psychoanalysis and like, well, what is it that I actually do?
Right.
Because I don't set my day out. I don't have like an agenda that says, right, tick, must do this stretching, must do this, must do that. I just thought, what do I do? So I broke it all down. And so, yeah, that's what happened. It was the chicken before the egg, really.
Yeah, I'm jealous that you can do your exercise sort of spontaneous and when you feel to, because if I don't tick, 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 then I tend to sit at the desk all the time and get hunched backs and broken body and stuff.
Well, that's what writers, you see, you've actually hit the nail on the head. You're more the writer. I'm the accidental writer. Yeah, I came from a business background, or at least a corporate background. My true background, I suppose, my qualifications is in languages.
Okay.
And then I moved into business through my languages. And the writing came about accidentally. And also it was, well, it's for my cat, my children, and then to help myself through some difficult times. So the wellness part of it, that was also just, to me, it's something that I just do. Whereas the writing part is something that you just do. That's your natural. That's where you're happy. And I noticed that a lot of writers are the hermits, and they are the ones that will just sit there and bent over and write without stopping, because they're in the flow. Their muse is there, and they have to keep going. There's very little thought.
Like something from Lord of the Rings with the hunched over and
Actually, that was on my front page of my blog site. I had a golem and said, "This is what happens to writers who don't practice self-care." But that kept appearing everywhere, and I thought that really doesn't go well with my title.
Wellness and writing. It's true, though. I mean, I often say, mentally, I feel much younger than I am. Just, ideas, creativity, everything, and just interest in the world. Physically, I feel like 20 years older than I am. And I'm like, I've got to figure it out somehow. But now I get to the point where everything starts interfering with getting better because, bad joints and everything. And
you do literally have to tear yourself away from desk.
I have to set timers and stuff like that. Yeah,
you do. And my if you can't do that, my top tip would be to do it before you start.
Yeah, well, that's nice because right now my daughter and I go for a walk in the morning.
It's nice, isn't it?
Which is very helpful, yeah.
And then you've done it.
In the morning, but yeah, I should do it a bit more often though. Once a day, maybe not quite enough right now, but
also never see it as a chore. That's never. If you want to do anything, it must never be initiated or thought of from a place of lack, because then you're already saying that you're missing out on something, and then you definitely won't do it.
Yeah, it does have to be a sort of lifestyle choice or incorporation or something, doesn't it?
You do, yeah, but you have to want to do it. And if you don't want to do it, then this is how I do all my books about breaking habits. If you do not want to do it, stop asking yourself to do it, because you're just pushing it further away.
Yeah, it's true, but at some point, at the same time, there can come a point where you have to do it. And so is there some way, like maybe there's a book in there, how to convince yourself to want to do it?
The last book, that one.
Right.
It's all about motivation. Now, I wrote it after I tore my ACL ligament, which meant I couldn't run, I couldn't do anything. And me, in my lifestyle, I depended on being able to do that. And so getting back from, running 6 miles a day to being overtaken by 90-year-olds with their Zimmer frames on the way to town. It was a slow process. And so again, I looked at how do I do it? And the point being, music for me is a huge factor in my exercise. If you get your tunes on, you get them on your headphones, and you get the right ones, you got to have a killer playlist. That's a definite motivator.
Get into your groove then.
Yeah, it does. It changes you instantly. Yeah. But you've got to make that little switch from, I really want to finish this, and I know my back is burning. I really want to finish this, to just sticking them in your ears, and it will shift you instantly, literally instantly. And the second one was, it was like it's a Shinto Tendai Buddhist method that I learned, which I did for about a year. Then I just dropped it because I'm not too in the woo-woo stuff, but it really helps you get rid of a lot of mental debris. So the whole thing about focusing on what's important is suddenly a lot easier. So if you just take that 10-minute walk in the morning, and don't make it 20, just make it a 10-minute walk, you'll clear your head. because walking is a form of it's a meditative practice. Because you have different types of meditation. You have the lying down, you have the sedentary, just as long as your spine's straight, and then you have the walking meditation as well, which you could do.
Yeah,
and that's the point.
It's quite nice, definitely.
Yeah, and you just have a little spring clean, and then you know what you need to focus on every day. But you have to do it every day and remind yourself.
Yeah. Well, that's the nice thing with the lockdown is, prior to the relaxing of the lockdown a bit, because we had sort of one period of exercise per day, it was like, okay, let's get our exercise in the morning.
Yeah.
My daughter also said she felt much better starting with the walk in the morning rather than waiting until later on just to get going, basically.
It's just a lovely habit to get into. See, everybody who's got a dog, they're okay, they've got an excuse. So what you need is an excuse. And you've already said it. Your daughter has kind of been that excuse to walk in the afternoon for your second one.
Yeah.
So, hey, just drag your daughter out every morning for a walk.
Yeah. Well, we might get the bikes out. We'll see about that. But
yeah,
that'd be a nice one. Get some more cardiovascular going as well to mix it up a bit. But,
yeah, it helps your brain. They're doing the pots and pans outside. You know,
I think our neighborhood stopped doing that. I don't hear it over here.
Where do you live? Nasty end of town.
I don't know. They were serious for a while, and then I don't hear anything right now. So maybe they haven't started yet. We're on the East End, so East Ends are.
Yeah, they're a mean old bunch, aren't they? There's one guy out there with a tea strainer.
Yeah, staring whether his neighbors are out or not. No, they're pretty good though. We get along well with our neighbors.
Yeah, that's what I love about where I live, because we've got the railway, which is it's not used anymore. It's got a old bridle path running by it. So it's absolutely beautiful. And Nid Gorge is there with the viaducts and the woodlands. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better place to get stuck.
Has it been quite busy in the Gorge pathway then?
I go in the mornings, but in the afternoons, my son has been out. He said, yes, it is extremely.
Not much social distancing then.
No, not really. Actually, some people do. They walk off the path.
Off into the bush. And
yeah, fall off the cliff, fall off the viaduct. No, it's people have been actually very, around here they've been extremely patient.
Yeah, I think in general in England, it's they've been noting that we've responded quite patiently. I think patient is a good word.
It's patient, begrudging patience, but patiently.
Yes. In fact, I wanted to touch on that, like the last thing before we go, sort of since you're into the wellness. So what about the wellness during the lockdown then? Because obviously we've touched on the physical side of that. There's also the mental health side of that, and just the whole being invest into your family and everything.
No, I actually didn't really have any effect from it at all. The person who suffered the most in our family was my 19-year-old son, who's training for his boxing. And he did extremely well up until about a week ago, where he just really wants to get into the ring. That's the only thing he can't do. Right. And also because all those teenagers, they're at that stage in life where they need to progress to the next stage. You see, I am at a stage in life where I've done everything that I want to do. I've traveled. I've got what I want. I'm at that end of life, whereas they're all at the beginning, and they need to feel that they are moving towards, because their life's just started.
Just to get out there into the next stage, isn't it?
Yeah, but he's done extremely well. He started writing a novel.
Oh,
he's done. Wonder where he got that idea from.
A fantasy novel.
Yeah, it's actually amazing.
Gonna race you then? Is there a race? Challenge?
No, but it's better than me.
No, I just wonder if he's just spurring you on. Are you gonna race to see who finishes it first, or are you just giving up? He's already.
No. Mine will be done when I'm, retired somewhere. I can start smoking again and get a bottle of whiskey and forget all this wellness stuff and sit in my shack at the bottom of the garden, and then I'll write my trilogy. So he started playing the guitar, started to learn how to play the guitar.
Wow.
And he takes himself on 3 training sessions. So he does 2 in the back garden and 1 he goes for a jog. And he's kept himself relatively sane for a 19-year-old.
Yeah.
For a sociable 19-year-old. My other one's really easy. He's just on the PlayStation all the time. He'll cook with me, we'll chat, play with the cat.
He's like the digital world kind of guy.
Yeah, and I'm just the same as I was before.
Yeah.
I mean, the only difference is you can't touch people. You know, I can still talk to everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so what about sort of general thoughts on society, wellness, and things to watch for that people, things they can do if they're feeling sort of being trapped and whatnot?
I think the most important thing to do is not to react based on what other people are telling you. I think if you actually you're going to be in one of two camps. One is that you're financially secure because you're getting paid. So if you are one of the furloughed, or if you are the one getting 80% of your pay, I would say seriously take this time and enjoy it.
Right.
Enjoy it. If you're not having to go to work, or your work has been cut so that you know it's not a pressure on your family life, then forget about work and focus on your children. Because I've worked from home for like 18 years, and you can't do both. You're either with your children or you're at work.
Yeah, I think it's too hard to try and join them, isn't it?
Yeah, don't try, just make the switch and say, right, I'm with my kids now, or my wife, or my husband, or my partner, or whatever, or if you've got multiple partners, I'm not judging. And use that time. And then maybe even start something that you meant to start. Don't sit there and just drink or waste your time. Yeah.
Binge on Netflix.
And don't watch TV. It's the most detrimental thing you can do, because it's passive and your mind switches off. Yeah. That is one of the worst things you can do. I've barely watched the news since being, because it just, for a start, I don't even understand which thing to believe.
Yeah,
there's so many
possible right now, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's the thing I would say is if you are in a financial situation where you don't have to worry, then just don't. Spend time with kids, because it's pretty much over now.
Yeah.
So to spend as much time as you can with your family and doing what you want to do, without having that pressure, that worry. But if you're on the other end, then I would seriously suggest, if you do have to work and you do have to juggle children as well, then again, you have to work around the children. People seem to expect the children to make the adjustments, but the parents aren't adjusting themselves. So the way I always used to do it is, I got up before the children got up. I did what I had to do. So then I was ready when the children were there. And then anything that I did in the house, I did with the children. So if I'm hanging up the clothes, they're hanging up the clothes with me. That's an activity in their eyes, okay? Yeah. They don't do it well, not at all. But who cares?
They'll get better.
They'll get better, and then, hey, they'll do it when they're older. They cook now, they do, And so my point is, you do stuff with them, and then because they notice you're spending that time with them, you can then make 20 minutes, 30 minutes in the day that are then yours, whilst they are just either in the room or reading or, watching TV or doing whatever they're doing on the screen, without you having to give them attention. If you don't give them attention and you're badgering them from the start, then you're going to have a problem.
Yeah.
So it's all about that. And then when they go to bed, have your time either for yourself just to unwind, or do your work and then unwind and then go to bed earlier than you would like to. But all I'll say is it's something that John Rhodes said, is you have to have true recreation time and true work time. You can't sit at the beach wishing you're at work, thinking I've got to be at work, or be at work wishing you're at the beach.
Writing your novel on the beach. Yeah.
It's one or the other.
Yeah.
That's because that's what does hamper. That's what hinders your brain to feel calmer.
Yeah. Well, I do really like the idea of incorporating the children into the activities. I've kind of done that with my daughter as she's been growing up. And the nice thing as well is not only do they learn how to be part of the family and taking care of things, but you also get time to chat with them once you sort of you know, and she spend that quality time talking about whatever. We've had great discussions on, she helps me plan out some of my books, for example, and things.
Yeah, they do. They're great. Yeah, because I think when children hit 6, 7 years old, they're great company. Yeah. And before that, yeah, it is hard, especially when you're a single parent. It's downright boring sometimes because, you know, all you hear is mummy, mummy, mummy. Like, so get yourself on Zoom, get yourself talking to other people as well with your children. If they've got homework, do it with somebody who goes to the same school as them at the same time. So it's not that they see you as the punisher. It's like, to me, it's common sense.
Yeah, I think we still haven't quite adapted for the video chatting world yet. Even despite this lockdown for now almost 8 weeks, it still feels, I think, unnatural to many people. There could have been, you know, with the schools, for example, some schools have embraced it. Some schools, like my child's school, has not embraced it at all. Oh, which is a bit disappointing, but.
It is disappointing. Same thing happened with Harrogate College because my son's doing a bookkeeping course as well because he wants to do that on the side. And because I always said to him, it's good to have a few arrows in your quiver because then, you know, if you can do somebody's accounts for them, you can do it online, you can be anywhere.
Yeah.
So he's doing a bookkeeping course. For some reason, they couldn't do that at the beginning online. I said, well, yeah, they can.
Yeah, I mean, you just put a camera in, film yourself talking about it. It's not difficult.
It's not. The other one, he's doing a film production course, slightly different because they were supposed to be filming. And, you know, they can't all go around with. No. So you either do adapt or you don't. I'm not sure if people will have the time to fully adapt. But again, if you asked about what people should do for their own personal wellness, be true to your true nature. And also don't stress about things that you can't do anything about. Adapt to suit your family as well, because you're responsible for your family. It's not very nice to hear parents whinging about the stresses that their children are putting on them.
Yeah.
The children didn't choose to be here. The parents chose to have them. Some of them may not have chosen. Some of them may have just been blessed with them.
That's a nice way.
But it's their responsibility, and it's saddening that people are stressing with their children. They need to be able to be a coherent, cohesive unit as a family.
Right. Well, on that note, I think we're about out of time. So thanks for joining me today. And I was just wondering, let people know where they can find you online and whatnot.
Well, because I got my new website address for my kids, I'm at Kiki and Friends, kikiandfriends.co.uk. And the other one's just wellnessandwriting.com.
Okay, well, thanks again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Edwin.
Enjoy the rest of the lockdown then.
I will.
We'll probably talk to you when it's all over, or maybe sooner.
Well, I hope you enjoy the rest of your lockdown, and I hope to see you jogging sometime. Well, walking,
maybe cycling. We get the bikes out. Yeah. All right.
Cycling's fun.
Take care.
All right, Edwin.